Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Stewart. Very pleased to be here to tell you all about the Thierry copper mine, which we just acquired. We just closed on it this week. It's a phenomenal opportunity, an opportunity that's only really available in times like this. And times are tough for the junior mining industry. However, the good news is ORCAP was created specifically for tough times. And it acquires assets out of special situations where capital just isn't available. The group that we bought it from had debt, had trouble raising money, and then into ORCAP. And here we are. We acquired it at a phenomenal price. And this project has phenomenal value. It's completely overlooked, but we're going to unlock it in the months and years ahead. There's work to do, but there's a tremendous resource here. In fact, it's the largest copper resource in Canada, Ontario. One of the largest in Eastern Canada, and complements our sister company, QC Copper, so well in the sense that it's got one of the largest assets in copper assets in Eastern Canada. So between those two copper assets, ORCAP, our OR group controls huge amounts of copper in Eastern Canada. I mean, to me, that really gets me excited. This is the Thierry mine. It was operated, decades ago. It had modest production, but it had drilled out a very big resource, both underground and near surface. I'm most interested in developing the near surface aspects, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But what's relevant is where it is. Pickle Lake, phenomenal mining jurisdiction. It has all the infrastructure because it had major mines, including the Golden Patricia and Pickle Crow. Those resources are still there, still being invested into. And of course, the Thierry is one of those major deposits that was mined and operated, and it still exists. You had the Central Patricia, or the Golden Patricia, which was Barrick. And now Oteco has the Golden Crow, but the infrastructure is there. That's the most important part, especially when you're talking about base metals. Is the rail there? Yes, it is. Can you drive to it from Toronto? Absolutely. It's got an airport, a very developed airport. Pickle Lake is the gateway to the north in this effect. Musselwhite, which is Newmont's gold mine, is just north of here. This is a launching pad for it. There is a major hydroelectric system running right through it. So you've got power, you're on the grid. It's recently been upgraded for the benefit of Musselwhite, and these new power lines run right through our property. So in terms of infrastructure, it checks all of the boxes. In terms of resource, it checks the boxes, and as well, it's got almost a multi-billion-pound copper resource. So here's what Pickle Lake looks like in terms of the neighbor. In terms of the rocks, this is think of it like Red Lake. We're in the same rocks as Red Lake, the Uchi district. You can see there's lots of gold. You got, as I said before, Oteco's got a 3 million ounce, very high grade, almost 8 grams per ton resource that they've drilled out recently. And then quite famously, you've got the Golden Patricia, very well-known mine that was operated by Barrick, extremely high grade. So think of the grades like Red Lake. That's the sort of environment we're in. Newmont's there and others. So it's a very interesting district with a mining culture and, of course, access to infrastructure. But most importantly, what comes first is the geology. We are in the right rocks, and the Thierry mine, which we now own and control, has a very large copper with a resource with a nickel credit. This is a little bit more about it. As I said before, it is the largest copper resource in Ontario. We purchased it at an effective valuation of $3 million. It's a phenomenal value. It's if you include its historical resource, it's actually bigger than QC Copper and its Opemiska mine. But it's not as developed. It needs more work. Opemiska is vastly more drilled out, has more historical production. But ORCAP is not too far behind it, but definitely needs to be drilled out systematically and better understood. And we're going to take all of the lessons we learned from QC Copper and what we've done at Opemiska and apply that to the Thierry. That's another reason why I think this is a very attractive proposition for us, and why I think investors might want to take note, because it's a very niche skill to take a look at brownfields environments, look at historical databases, come up with new interpretations, and drill it out systematically. But if you look at it here, we've got nearly 120 million tons of resources. The grades vary there. As you can see, there's the underground high grade portion of it, and then you've got the open pit. Now that's what excites me. I didn't chase this to go back underground. I don't like that concept. I need a new concept, which is the open pit resources there. So you can see there, mixed between historical and 43-101, there's over 100 million tons at a decent copper grade, but you're going to nickel credit there. There are some metallurgical issues that apply to the nickel and the nickel only, but those are very old metallurgical assessments. So we're going to apply modern metallurgical assessments to the nickel and see if we can increase that grade, increase the nickel. We underwrite it with, without solving those problems, but if we can solve those problems, even, to one degree or another, there's tremendous upside in peeling off that nickel and getting value there. So it's a very large copper resource near surface. And I think there's expansion potential. So not only are we going to expand the areas around the Thierry and the established zones where the G zone, the J, and the K11, this hasn't been systematically drilled out a long time. It's effectively been on the shelf for probably 20 years. And in underfunded juniors who were not paying attention to it. And that's exactly the opportunity we like. We've gone into the database ourselves. We don't believe 43-101s. We go into the data and we tear it down. And we've done that and we see opportunity. We see a lot more than I guess anybody else does see, because nobody's paying attention to this. But to us, this is very exciting in terms of refining what is known and then looking for new things in an area that is well endowed with copper, gold, and nickel, of course. As I said here, this is the opportunity for us is to drill it out. In the next, call it 3 to 6 months, we're going to be cleaning it up corporately, going up there and doing some due diligence, getting ourselves organized, and then we're going to go out there and we're ultimately going to spin this off when the market is right, raise substantial capital and drill it out. You want to see the model? Well, look what QC Copper has done to the Opemiska. It's basically rinse and repeat, same sort of thing, same sort of asset, similar sort of opportunity. So that's what attracted us. And you can go and look at what we've done with QC Copper. It's been a big success, raised a bunch of money, attracted a lot of interest, and I expect that the Thierry is going to be the same sort of thing. And here's the case study yourself. You can take a look for yourself at QC Copper. In terms of ORCAP, as I said, we acquired 45% for $1.5 million Canadian. We bought it out of a call it a distressed debt situation. Otherwise, there's no way we would be able to acquire it at this valuation. QC Copper also took a position, a 10% position in the private company that owns 100% of the asset, and the asset itself, the Thierry, has no royalties. So that's a nice unencumbered asset. And I expect that ORCAP is going to actually increase that 45% as it recoups its deal costs. And who are the residual owners? Well, the residual owner is the vendor. They did not want to sell all of it. They wanted to resolve their debt and then retain some upside. And I think that's an important part. They recognize the value here, and they're going to be partners. I also note that we control the minority shareholder there, Canadian Critical Metals, for the next 2 years to follow our plan. And we have rights of first refusal to acquire their interests. What we're going to do next is we're going to put new management. We're going to have a focused exploration plan, and we're going to spin it out, just like ORCAP has done with QC Copper, just like ORCAP has done with American Eagle. And it's very likely that we're going to dividend the shares out to ORCAP shareholders, as well as retain a nice position for ORCAP's balance sheet. We like to retain the upside for our company, and then we'll look to recycle that as we harvest wins down the road. In terms of timeframes, it's impossible to say. It's really, we don't like, right now we're buyers, we're not sellers. This project needs time to be refined, be understood, and wait for the right time in the market to develop it and ultimately sell it or combine it with another company such as QC Copper, for example, hence why QC Copper took 10% of it. The thought process there was that, well, it would be really nice to have the 2 of the 3 largest copper resources in Eastern Canada under one roof. I think that would make us incredibly attractive when the time is right, when the world realizes how important copper is and how important copper is in friendly jurisdictions like Canada. Here's where we are in terms of next steps. We've done all of this. We're right now at the seed round with ORCAP. We'll be raising a little bit of money for walking around capital, but it's going to be done privately within the company that owns Pickle Lake. And then we're going to appoint leadership. We're going to market it. And then we'll raise funds at higher valuations so that the company itself can develop and move forward the project. These financings will not be done at the parent company level in OrCap. The financings are going to take place in the private company. So there'll be no dilution to OrCap. We expect OrCap to harvest its investments down the road, but that's generally the plan. We're going to spin it off just like we did American Eagle and QC Copper, and we'll look to exit when the time is right. So that's it on Thierry Mine. We're very excited. It's early days for it. There's still more opportunity ahead. I assure you that that OrCap is evaluating all sorts of interesting opportunities that are born out of difficult times. We love distressed markets. We love special situations. We see a lot of deal flow. I think Thierry is an excellent example of the opportunities that we source and resolve, because you have to be able to resolve these sorts of opportunities, and it takes a whole team in order to do that. So if you'd like to learn more about the Thierry, our plans, or OrCap and its plans, here are my contacts, and I look forward to hearing from you.